I thought I would just start with something really general before we move into a deep dive into the Agatha All Along song. What do you think about the idea of like the right song or the proverbial perfect song in a film or series? Like, what does that mean to you? What are the key elements that really do need to come together?
That's such a good question. And we think about it a lot because we're Oscar voters also. Um, and what I look for is I look for first just feel. Do you enjoy the song? Like, is it something that pulls you in, excites you, or makes you feel something? Then I always look for, is it doing something in the storytelling? Um, do you start at point A and end at point B? Um, Especially when we're talking about musicals in a movie, but often even in these sort of source song situations, if we are learning something or something pivotal is happening while the song happens, I look for that. And then there are many directors who just really cut and edit well too to the music and use the editing beautifully with the song, so you're feeling like you're in a cinematic dance. Those are my three criteria. Do you have anything, Bobby?
I think I agree with all those, and I do think that there's so many different ways. I mean, there's no one way to do the perfect song. I was thinking of the movie Magnolia. I just rewatched that recently. It's like one of my favorite movie. That one and The Graduate it's a kind of musical, but a different kind of musical. And the main criteria is, was it a highlight of the movie? And did it, as she said, support it? But like also the movie has to serve it in a little, in a way to make it the best part of the movie.
When those songs come around, they really make such an impact worldwide with audiences. And there's no better example than some of the songs that you've both given to the world. Let's talk about the most recent one, because I got to tell you, when my kids were little, all I ever heard was Let It Go. Then a little older, all I ever heard was Into the Unknown. And then my kids are teenagers now, and all I ever hear is A Ballad of the Witches.
Well, I love your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sound awesome.
They sound really like a fun bunch.
Good taste. But like you're both so good at writing catchy hooks and eminently repeatable lyrics and those earworms that we have grown to love. Do these emerge from the dark recesses of your minds effortlessly, or do you typically have a process for coming up with those killer hooks or motifs?
I don't know. I think part of it, they say there's sort of like a melodic gift that you're born with. And I think Kristen has it, and I feel like I have it. And even when I was 10 or 11, I was writing melodies. My piano teacher taught, he was like, there's a dearth of nourishing melodies in the world nowadays. I wish somebody like you would write some. So I always thought about that and thinking about what makes a melody, what gives a song a structure melodically. Then I took a class in college where we diagrammed all these Cole Porter songs and George Gershwin songs to find the melodic crest and the nadir and what bar number it would happen at, just to get a sense of like the general shape. They're all different, but they share certain principles and guidelines, and you don't have to follow them, but it's nice to know that this works. And I think that all goes into it. I think a lot, and I try to feel a lot when I'm writing these things.
So sexy when you talk like this. Like when he starts getting into, because sometimes I think that it just comes from nowhere. It just comes from God. Sometimes I'll give him a lyric and he'll just set it to the perfect music. And then I learned like he's really thinking about what note and what word the melody peaks on. Sometimes I think his best melodies do come from this depth of feeling that he has. He's a Pisces, and I think he either has a Pisces sun sign or a rising. Like he might be a triple Pisces. Like there's a lot of feeling going on inside of this guy, and he just pours it into the piano. And it's fun to have a front row seat on that for sure. And then sometimes you have to say like, suck it up, pack your suitcase, we're going.
The Ballad of the Witch's Road, there are, for people who may not recall, there are 8 versions of the song that are played throughout the series, the main version being the sacred chant version. Do you have a favorite, or is it a Sophie's choice?
Oh, we have favorite parts of each one. I mean, honestly, I wrote the lyric to the 70s version, to the Lorna Wu version first. And that was the hardest because it had to sound like a hit song from the 70s. It had to have all the elements of the witches. It had to have all the rules of the road. It had to have this MacGuffin and these words wrong. Like, it definitely was the giant puzzle that Jack gave me, and it was so much fun.
And it had to have a bridge that was written by someone else.
Oh, right. And it had to have a bridge that was written by someone else with a different origin story. And that was super, super fun for me. And yet, when it all came out, Bobby, you should talk about this. Like, we had this we didn't know who our cast was going to be. And when it all was said and done, the really surprising thing is that the sacred chant, the sacred ballad version, became our favorite. And that is because of the alchemy of the actresses that embodied our witches. All of them brought something. Allie is this natural classic pianist. Sashir has this gorgeous warm alto that's like the glue that holds it down. Kathryn is doing her like camp, like I'm gonna be mysterious, and then I'm gonna be fun, and I'm gonna be like, she's bringing her impishness to it. And then you throw in Patty, who who was,
I mean, that was they sprung that on us, and we were like, we must write her a song. We've always wanted to work with her. And then they said, no, you can't. She put it in the contract. She doesn't want you to change it for her or write her anything different. And we're like, okay. Okay, well, I guess we'll put her on one of the parts. And we'll ask her to sing backup. She was like, honey, I do not sing backup.
But I have to say, it was the perfect gift for us because she was like, I do soprano, which means she spends the bulk of she's going, the road is wild and wicked, winding through the wood, with a strength and conviction that brings this epic feel to the sacred version.
We kind of, if you heard the demo of this song, it's a lot less powerful. It's a lot more choral, It just that we thought, oh, well, they'll be singing in a group, and I don't know what this is going to be like, but here's an arrangement of it. And once we laid down each one of these incredible performers who were also at this very moment bonding with one another. They hadn't really gotten to work yet. This is like the first thing they did. They became a coven, track by track.
As we were recording it, and it was one of the first things they all did together. We had to record the sacred version before many of them had even stepped on set to act. And the beautiful thing that happened that day is that everybody stayed for each other's. We had to record them one by one in layers, and everyone stayed to support each other. And then like a week later, they were on screen, like on set, in their costumes, in their iconic costumes, recording it together. And by that point, they had become an a cappella group. By that point, they could sing it without backup. Like, they had in-ears, but they didn't really need them. They could do it wild. And then when each person had their close-up and had to do their own solo version, after each one, everybody applauded in the most wonderful, supportive way. So it really was this meta thing where the coven was created through this sisterhood song.
And even the crew was telling us, like, I don't usually say this to songwriters, but like, well, I had hairs standing up on the back of my neck.
The local one guys being like, hey, that was cool.
I don't even know how to put this question. It's like a chicken and the egg. Like, did the show evolve because of the song and the way it was used, or did the song evolve because of the way it was going to be used in the show?
This song evolved because of Jack Schaefer and the brilliant mind of Jack Schaefer, our showrunner, and I think Mary Lovano is also the producer, and supported Jack going in this direction. But Jack knew when Agatha got a spinoff, she knew instantly that she wanted it to be based around a song, and built it into the very fundamental architecture of the show.
No.
And which was a huge gift to us, a huge gift. It was, we would work with her for the rest of our career if we could, because she understands music, and it gave us this chance to do this thing that we love, which is every song is a collection of history, especially a song that old. Do you know?
Yeah, like when I was a kid, I played this version of "Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair" on piano by Roy Harris, and it was a modern American adaptation of this song. And my teacher made me do the research, read Alan Lomax, and go back to the beginning of where did this thing come from? What are some of the different versions over time? And you realize that some of these folk songs that became hits in the 60s and 70s are like these giant sequoia trees with lots of rings and different versions. Some in England, like there's a song called Lord Randall, My Son, that became a song called Durango in the West here. And it's really fascinating. And because it's an oral tradition, there's a game of telephone, people add their own things to it. And that's how we knew that this song was really a song from Agatha and her son Nicky that they made up together as mother and son when he was really little, walking down the road. And
here, play the tune. We have this piano here, so we can.
We thought it would go, down, down, down the road, down the winding road, right? And then by the time the song is finished, it's acquired a new melody with the same shape. Down, down, down the road, down the winding road. And actually, that first tune is the second harmony when we get to the, yeah, they work together and they become the 70s version.
But it's also in that game of telephone. In this case, you're taking like a little kid's song that then goes into pubs and is sung a little bit, and so it pulls on the church and folk history of that time, which is even calling back to what they're singing in churches across the ocean in Europe. Then it starts winding down through Appalachia and picking up some of the bends in the country, down through New Orleans, where you pick up the African American and blues influence from the global trade that was happening down there. Then you go up through the technology that was invented of like the guitar and the records, and suddenly you're in the 70s, and it's the same genetic material, but because of the way history just puts layers on things, it's that kind of assignment is like dream for us, because we're big musical nerds and puzzle nerds, and it's just like doing a puzzle.
It was like creating a facsimile of a history that could have happened but didn't.
It just goes to show how much was involved in putting this song together. It's not just a simple song that's sung and then we forget about it. It's so integral to the show. By the end, Agatha tells Billy, it meant nothing anyway. It was just, it only became real when you made it real. And I think that's more of maybe that's a tongue-in-cheek thing as well. It's a meta thing, because obviously the song is very real and very important. Did that little twist at the end have any effect at all on how the song would play out towards the end of the series?
That's a beautiful observation, that it didn't mean anything until Billy made it real. And one thing I notice is that witches, people who practice Wicca, are now using they're saying, "Oh, I'll use this in my practice now, in our rituals."
I mean, I think Jack, not to channel what she was thinking, but I do think that Jack is a writer, and just like us, these things, we create them in this room here, but they aren't real until you share them and give them away to the world. And it's that's the work that we have to do often, to remind ourselves that we create real things here, and some things go in the world and they dissipate. Like maybe somebody found those, somebody did something, and then there are these other songs that will go out into the world and they'll become string cheese and sneakers.
Backpacks.
Like backpacks and costumes, and it doesn't mean anyone has more or less value, but it is really wonderful when something does land and the intersection of story, casting, moment all line up. And it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it feels like a witch's spell.
So look, before I let you go, obviously we're Gold Derby, so we are obsessed with awards. You knew it was coming. Robert Lopez, you have this great honor of being an EGOT winner, but not only that, you completed it when you were 39, so you're the youngest to do it. You also were the fastest to achieve it, 10 years, and you eventually became the first to do so with all 4 awards multiple times. So that is incredible. And Kristen, you are so close to it. Frozen should have won that Tony, because then you could both say.
That would have been nice.
Two-part question. It's Robert. How does that make you feel? Because we made such a big deal about it because it's such a huge achievement. And Kristen, also, how does that make you feel, given that you are so close to something that is very, very rare?
Well,
You
go first, honey.
First of all, it is a huge honor. I always, to be recognized for anything, it's a huge honor. And I do think that the first Tony that I won for Avenue Q made my whole career possible. I think awards really do give you, make your dreams come true for more than one project. You having that award allows you to get to do all the things you wanted to do, or do many of them. And I think that our Oscar for Frozen, for Let It Go,
that
created Kristen's career.
That winning an Oscar for Let It Go gave me an in with the theater world, which at the time, it's changing a lot, but at the time was so male dominated that there really were there were very few seasons that ever had a female songwriter in the running. So I needed fuel to be able to open doors here in New York. That's changing a lot, thanks to a lot of wonderful organizations like the Lilies and Maestra that are evening the playing field a little bit, and great discussions that we're all having. When it comes to like Bobby being the youngest and the only double EGOT, I like to use it to make fun of him sometimes. Like when he does something
particularly stupid.
Something really, like, when the kids are like, when are we in Maine? And he throws them not only the wrong week, or he throws them like the wrong month. And I'm like, no, don't listen to the youngest double EGOT winner. That is not when we are going on vacation.
Yeah. That's more than